This, my friends, is a solid 2,432 carat white sapphire crystal. And you might be like, hey Jerry, how did you get your hands on 6 inches of rock-hard, scratch-proof sapphire? And that's a great question, and I'm gonna need you not to ask so many questions. And while 6 inches is far above average, it actually is nowhere near the largest man-made sapphire block in existence. There's a company called Arc Energy that makes a 65,000 carat boule of sapphire that weighs 660 pounds. The boule is nearly 2 feet wide and 1 foot tall and has enough white sapphire inside to make 4,000 smartphone covers. Which brings us to today's victim, the new Red Magic Astra gaming tablet Golden Saga, which uses this level 8 scratch-proof sapphire crystal and real gold as some of its ultra-premium top-of-the-line materials inside the most luxurious gaming tablet on the planet. I'll give this tablet away to one of you at the end of this video. Today we're going to take my sacrificial sapphire and show how it might be cut up and transformed into something useful, since most level 8 or 9 scratch-proof screens are exceptionally superior. And we can find examples of sapphire crystal on watch faces or the backs of phones, and sometimes even on phone screens. The problem is that the only thing on the planet that will cut scratch-proof level 9 sapphire is a level 10 diamond. We'll get to that part in a second. The other rock here on my desk is actually fossilized dinosaur poop called cooperlite. It doesn't have anything to do with sapphire. I just wanted some dinosaur poop on my desk just for fun. Thumbs up for that. Anyway, aside from having real sapphire on their Astra gaming tablet, Red Magic also sent me a new limited edition Red Magic 11 Pro Golden Saga gaming phone, which supposedly also has real sapphire on the back. The sapphire covers the new golden liquid cooling loop, and it has a literal gold-plated internal vapor chamber, which means we gotta do what we always do and verify those claims. Let's start with how the sapphire is cut. Diamond saws are actually pretty common on construction sites. You can get diamond blades like this one for about 20 bucks at Home Depot. They handle cutting tile or granite countertops. This saw, however, is specific to lapidary work. As you can see, the diamond dust or grit is fine enough to be embedded into the edge of the blade, and as the metal that is holding the diamond dust wears away, new diamonds are exposed, making it a self-sharpening system. And since the diamond dust is microscopic, the saw blade itself has no teeth to damage my fingers with. I can touch the blade while it's still spinning and still count to 10. And as you can see, the level 10 diamond dust in the blade is making short work of our level 9 sapphire boule. The main thing we have to watch out for is the boule cracking. Since sapphire boules are created at around 2000 degrees Celsius, there's a lot of brittle stress built up on the inside. You might have noticed that the tip of my boule has been broken off. This is where the seed crystal originally was. The seed crystal is kind of like the blueprint for which the rest of the crystal gets grown from. Aluminum oxide dust is melted down over the seed crystal, and as the new liquid cools, it orients itself into a crystalline form based off of how the original seed crystal was placed, kind of like cloning or an icicle. What takes millions of years to happen naturally below ground can happen in just a few hours here high above ground, with of course the right equipment and science know-how. It does take about a week to slowly cool the boule back to ambient temperature though. The slow cool-down process helps reduce the internal stress and subsequent fracturing, since a fractured boule wouldn't be very useful when cutting out screens, back panels, or watch faces. With our sapphire cut, you can see it's not totally clear, and this is where polishing comes in. We have a range of diamond laminated grinding wheels coming in at 80 grit to 3000 grit. The higher the number, the finer the polishing diamond grit. And as the grit gets finer, the scratches are reduced, turning our sapphire into an optical lens. A more industrial setup, like the one Red Magic uses on their Golden Saga sapphire devices, could get the crystal even more optically clear than we have here. Ultra-fine aluminum oxide dust can get up to 20,000 grit or higher, but you get the point. Industrial sapphire cutters also use high-end lasers to get their exact dimensions. Sapphire is pretty cool. Keep in mind though, never to call it sapphire glass, since they are very different elemental structures, hardnesses, and values. Sapphire glass would just be a blue tinted glass, and sapphire crystal might look like glass, but it's actually a gloriously premium jewel grade gemstone, and we should put some respect on its name. I never thought my desk would be so full of sapphires and dinosaur poop before, but here we are. I wouldn't have it any other way. Hopefully the sapphire crystal on the back of the Red Magic 11 Pro Golden Saga holds up to the hype that I just generated. Inside the box we get our external cooling unit, which can drop the temperature of your cooling loop by 18 degrees. Everything about this phone is overkill, including the 80-watt charging brick. We also have 2 USB-C charging cables, because why not, and a carbon fiber case, plus a literal gold-plated SIM card removal tool, and an individualized gold-plated collector's card. My number is 297, so it's a pretty rare device. The cooling loop on the back is the same liquid-filled pump that we found on the normal non-gold-plated version of the 11 Pro that we durability tested earlier this year, except now the liquid is gold instead of blue. We'll get a closer look at all the gold on the inside, but first, the sapphire scratch test. A plastic or fiberglass-backed smartphone would scratch at a level 2 or 3 on the Mohs scale of hardness. Regular glass would scratch at a 5 or 6, and real sapphire crystal would scratch at a level 8 or 9. Diamonds, of course, are level 10. And just like we expected, we don't see any scratches until a Mohs 8. Red Magic is indeed using real sapphire crystal on the back of their Golden Saga smartphone. Very impressive. Now, one thing that makes this teardown much more difficult is that the sapphire has a thermal conductivity 40 times higher than regular glass. So as I try to soften the glue holding this watertight phone together, the crystal is so good at getting rid of heat that it cools itself down before I have a chance to lift the crystal off. This is extremely good for gaming, but bad for taking phones apart. I'm using a new tool from iFixit called the Clampy Anti-Clamp, which should help me get the back sapphire off in one piece. Sapphire is impervious to scratches, but it can still shatter like glass if it's ever dropped. The marks you see on the underside of the sapphire is just the aesthetic tinting getting rubbed away from my tool. And look at that, Clampy got the sapphire off in one piece. I'll put this sapphire down with the rest of my sapphires. You know your desk is cool when it's covered in sapphires and dinosaur poop. Where was I? Ah yes, the coolest part of the Red Magic 11 Pro Golden Saga, aside from the golden sapphire, is the cooling loop. Under the carbon fiber sheet, we can see the full loop in all of its glory. We see the liquid flowing around inside the loop, dissipating heat from the gold and silver air duct up top. I can feel the piezoelectric pump at the bottom vibrating through my fingertips, and I'll pop the microphone cover off of my microphone so you can hear the vibrations for yourself. She's humming along rather nicely. To get to the golden vapor chamber though, we need to remove the 19T4 torque screws holding down the back hardware. Then we can lift up the gold and silver alloy air duct and cooling loop. Red Magic has had cooling fans inside of their gaming smartphones since the early days, but only with this 11 Pro have they managed to make the whole thing IPX8 watertight, meaning that the fan itself is waterproof. Air is allowed to flow through the air duct, so water of course would be able to enter in as well, but the duct itself is sealed off from the rest of the phone. And for some reason, it definitely has gold plating on the inside. There's probably not a single other person on the planet who would actually check for gold inside of the air duct except for me, but Red Magic actually did it just like they said they would. Here is also where we can see the mesh that lets the air and water flow through the vent, but the red gasket keeps the liquid from entering into the rest of the electronics inside of the phone. Speaking of which, I'll unplug the massive 7,500 mAh battery. It's got more than twice the capacity of an iPhone 17, but who's counting? It also has pull tabs, but the glue does need a bit of extra persuasion from my pry tool to let loose. With the battery gone, we can start to get a glimpse of our golden vapor chamber. I'll remove one more screw holding on the motherboard and pop that out so we can get a better look at Red Magic's gold. Now, gold plating the vapor chamber probably doesn't help all that much with actual thermal conductivity, since gold can basically move the same amount of heat as copper, but where gold excels is being literally immune to atmospheric oxidation. If you remember, Lady Liberty here in the USA, may she rest in peace, she was originally made out of shiny copper, but has since turned green due to atmospheric oxidation, which once copper is oxidized or tarnished, that oxidized layer acts as a thermal barrier. So the reason electronics get gold plated is to keep them clean and useful for longer. Still pretty wild that France would just gift us a whole statue. To be fair though, her torch is gold plated, which is kinda cool. And look at that. everything still works, including the liquid cooling. I'm a big fan of Red Magic. They're pushing boundaries and trying new things where everyone else appears to have given up. Instead of taking the new Red Magic Astra gaming tablet Golden Saga apart, I've decided to give it away. It has the same sapphire and gold-plated internals as the smartphone. Let me know your favorite TV show or YouTube channel down in the comments, besides mine obviously, and I'll pick a random winner from anywhere in the world. Current pricing for the limited editions is down in the description. It's actually pretty reasonable all things considered, and thanks a ton for watching. I'll see you around.